It's my understanding that everybody is here who indicated they would be attending. Uh, Considering it's a tight quorum, Jocelyn, could you call the roll, please? I know we did send out the sheet, but just to get it on the record as well.
Catherine Emder. Robert Quinn. Michael Milks.
Here.
Jeremy Toth.
Here.
Chairman Scott Bileski.
Here.
Daniel Castle.
Here.
Nadine Marrero. Karen Utz. Here. Adam McNeil.
Here.
So we do have a quorum present. Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, approval of the October 16th, 2025 minutes, pages 3 through 5. Assuming everyone's had a chance to take a look at those minutes, does anyone have a question or is there a pleasure of the board?
Move to approve minutes.
Thanks, second. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Dan. Motion made and seconded. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Treasurer's report of October 2025, pages 7 and 8. Jocelyn?
October 2025 treasurer's report. You can see highlighted in yellow is the total fund balance of the corporation, $14,681,552.01. That money is divided into 7 total either accounts or treasury bills. You can see the first 4 accounts represent our separate ARP accounts and treasury bills for our 53 house strategy. So if added together, the city of Buffalo ARPA and the Erie County ARPA, we've got a $12.75 million balance, which is approximately 52% of our total project budget of about almost $24.5 million. So we're at the halfway point of spending in our 53 unit house project. So right on schedule, everything's going well. And the remainder of the accounts are our Benlick utilities, CD, and treasury bill, and as our day-to-day checking account. So the very last line in the debit is $481,502.09. You can flip your page over to page 8, and you can see that debit balance, which is at the bottom, 481,502.09, is divided into the following different accounts. These are our different these are the different expenditures divided into our different funding sources, whether it is our day-to-day operating expenses, the money we receive from the New York State HCR for our Land Bank Initiative Phase 2 grant, our LBI, our Land Bank Capital Grant, and then the ARPA city and county money. So all of that debit line sort of divided out into our programs for more clarity.
Any other notes, Jocelyn?
Hey, Jocelyn, do you guys track like how much interest that money that's earned, like then go rolling back into the program?
Oh, well, we keep track of it. We do. We're not presenting it here, but yes, with Seth. But I can make sure to show you that.
Future
Yep.
meeting, just indicate that. 'Cause I just know
Sure.
I sit on this Greenway Commission, and we invested this money, and we got like an extra $100,000, which will fund a whole nother project
Yeah.
for us, which is great. So we report that out. So
Okay.
I'm curious.
Yeah, we work with LPL Financial, that's
Okay.
through M&T, and then they do a CD ladders for us, so I can do a report on that next
Yeah,
time.
just curious.
Yep.
Related to the ladders, I don't know, and I don't expect you to have, but are they 6-month CDs or what the terms are?
They're all different, and that's why the LPL catches up with me, and then we talk and I get the lay of the land, and they help us understand what the best moves to make. So there we do have a combination of 60-day CDs, and sometimes it's a 6-month T-bill ladder, but I'd be happy to share it all.
Please, I was gonna say, would you mind bringing at least one report at the
Oh yeah,
next meeting?
absolutely. Yep.
It's a good point. Any other questions, or is there a pleasure of the board? So Mike, motion is there a second? Sure. Thank you, Karen. Motion made and seconded. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 2025-7, approval of the 2026 Benwick budget. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong minutes, my fault. Resolution 2025-9, select preferred builder, 68 Pulaski, Buffalo, LBI infill, pages 9-10.
So the map that you can see in front of you are the locations of two vacant lots that Benwick would like to put new homes upon. So the first resolution 2025-9, if you can go ahead and switch that over, Matt, thank you, is 68 Pulaski in Buffalo. So this is a property that was donated to Benwick by Freddie Mac, who is the mortgage holder. We really took a hard look at the property in terms of, first of all, rehabbing it and getting all kinds of prices to rehab it, which was very expensive. We then went ahead and took a look at getting it to Habitat for Humanity. Typically Habitat likes, which we've worked with them in the past, where we will pay for the asbestos abatement and then turn the home over. It was not of interest to Habitat. So ultimately, the property was demolished due to major foundation damage. There was for Habitat, it was a heavy lift as well because of the foundation damage. And we did have Land Bank Initiative money to do the demolition. So in its place, we felt we were able to, that it's marketable for a new home to be built. And we did put out bids and received 5, which are before you on page 9. We received 5 competitive bids to do a new build on the site. Buccilli Renovations, Western New York First Choice Construction. We got a bid from 5 Star Services. This is the first time that they've submitted a bid. They are modular construction. Burke Homes LLC and Sunset Custom Homes. So Buccilli, Western New York First Choice, and Sunset have worked for Benwick in the past. 5 Star again is a first, and Burke Homes has submitted in the past, but typically the offer has been a higher offer. So the low offer in this case is Buccilli Renovations LLC at $345,000. And we are comfortable with that bid. Also comfortable that they can meet the MWBE goals for the project, which are substantial. And Buccilli has committed to meeting those goals. And they also did meet the target project budget of our inspector, John Good, who expected a bid price of approximately $350,000, which is approximately what we've been paying to build our homes in both Cheektowaga and the city of Buffalo over the last year or so.
Are these like 2 or 3 bedroom homes or what?
Yeah, is this like one of the plans?
Oh, sorry, this is literally the same design as our Albright that was designed by HHL.
Oh, okay.
So and that's kind of an advantage of having these designs in place.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, forgot to mention that. So HHL actually just worked to put that design on the site plan for Pulaski.
Okay.
And so it's our 3-bedroom Albright.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. And this would be for construction, obviously, starting in the spring.
Actually, if we get everything in place and all the contracts, we will put the foundation in either in December or January.
Okay.
And I just know, just with Buccilli, no concerns about them with all the other work we have with them. I know that was a concern previously, just making sure that all that other stuff is moving.
Cheektowaga and everything, so we'll be in good shape.
Cool.
Thank you. Was there anything else? Pleasure of the board.
Motion.
Thank you, Dan.
Second.
Adam, motion made and seconded. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to resolution 2025-10, select preferred builder 33 Shuley. Buffalo LBI infill.
Yeah, so very similar story here. 33 Shealy, a structure in the city, the city's east side that was acquired by Benwick. Again, a lot of exploration. Can we rehab this? Can we save it? The structural stability of this house was severe. So because we did have the budget to take the house down, we were able to do that and demolish the home, and similarly went out for bids to do a new build. And again, this is a design of a former Benwick home, not an ARP home, not the HHL, but we did do some homes on Longnecker, if that name sounds familiar to some of our older board members. And we were able to use an older Longnecker design, which was done by architect Jeff Wing. So Jeff Wing worked with us to place that long necker design on the Shealy site plan. So again, another 3-bedroom home. We did put it out and we received 4 bids to build that property. And again, one from Sunset, Western New York First Choice, Buchili, and Burke Homes. So for this particular home, Sunset was the low bidder. Always a good experience with Sunset, and I believe Sunset actually built Long Necker as well. So he's built this home in the past.
Question, Jim, like on the first home, we just voted on Sunset was 450. Here they're 345.
I spoke with Sunset. He really didn't want the.
You didn't
first
really
dollar.
want it?
So that's a big number to it.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yes.
Thank you.
But it still wanted to remain in.
He wants to remain active with us.
Oh, if you can get it for 450 over there, right? You know, there's a price for everything.
Fair point. Anything else?
Okay, no, that's all.
Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Em. Second.
Second it.
Thank you, Karen. It's been made and seconded. Anything else on the question? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving right along. 2025-11 disposition, 236 Brunswick.
236 Brunswick. So you can see on your page, that is the after photo. Gorgeous house that Benlick acquired via auction in the city of Buffalo. It's also located in the Hamlin Park Historic District. 2,780 square foot, 2-family home. Actually, it was a single that we turned into a 2-unit, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So we were able to turn this into a 2-unit home rehabilitated using New York State HCR LBI funds, just a massive property. We did work with Buchili Renovations, who has now fully completed the job, and it was rehabilitated according to the historic preservation requirements for the Hamlin Park Historic District, which did involve, right, John, some colored windows, some wood windows, but yeah.
$80,000 just on windows because of the requirements through the historic board. So the cost was significantly higher than our normal rehabs, and it was mainly because it was in a historic district.
New York State was understood that. They wanted to see the home, you know, it's in a very strategic block on Brunswick, which is a really strong block for home ownership. So we did have a $502,000 grant investment into that home. We put the house on the market at a market rate. There were no restrictions on the sale. However, we wanted to explore and owner occupancy for this home, which will give the owner, which is another reason we wanted to make it a 2-unit. The owner has the opportunity to own and receive some rental income and, you know, essentially, you know, build some equity for themselves. So we did receive 3 solid offers, all owner occupancy. The high offer, $290,000, Brian Davis, and then an offer for $270 and $260. The first 2 are conventional mortgages, the third FHA, and all similar close dates. So leave it to the board, but because they are all potential owner occupancies, we have the high offer listed.
Just,
Well, see,
Go ahead.
odd that a historic home in that neighborhood, I mean, it's a beautiful house. It's only going for 290. It seems like the way real estate properties values are, it probably would have gone, I would have assumed it to go higher than that.
There were no restrictions. Ben, I don't know if you have any color on, you know, on.
you know, low 300, high ones, what is that going?
It is a historic neighborhood, but values in the neighborhood are still low. It just hasn't grown. This is one of the sales that should help values in the
You
area
can make your
grow.
house property go up.
Yes, correct. It is basically the best street on the block now.
Mentioned that it's a 2-unit now, going from 1 to 2. Is it front, back, or lower, upper?
Upper, lower, and they're each 3 bedrooms. Yeah, huge floor plates. So
Let me correct that. It's a 3-bedroom and a 2-bedroom.
thank you. 2-bedroom up.
2-bedroom up, 3-bedroom lower.
Thank you. So the third is more like the owner's unit, right?
I don't. Then I resign from the board
Yeah, I
now.
was just saying you're on the board.
Probably can't do that then. I mean. Oh, okay.
Any other questions? Pleasure to the board? I'll make a motion. Thank you, Mike. Is there a second? Good. Second, the motion made and seconded. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moves us on to the last item. There's no executive director's report.
Not this month, no.
Okay, so we'll say it's the last item because this is the last item. So at the prior meeting of October 16th, we had the resolution 2025-8 set forth a lot of the details for the ARPA infill project, price ranges for the 3-bedroom and 2-bedroom, as well as for a earnest money deposit. There's been a lot of discussion. It's gone on since the last meeting, in particular regarding the pricing, regarding the earnest money deposit. And so one of the pieces of information, I'll get the right one here. Thanks. So we have a proposed amendment to the resolution. The resolution had sales prices for the 3-bedroom with the price of $252,000 and the sales price floor of $214,200, which is a spread of the 15%. With that, if you look elsewhere in the resolution, gave the executive director some leeway as to setting some differences with pricing depending on circumstances.
So that would be page 27 of the appendix.
Yeah.
Right, that for the,
So that would go from the proposed amendment on the 3-family then would go to $230,000 for the sales price, with the floor going down to the 15% from there to $195,500. So that was on the 3-family, that the new proposed range would be 230 and 195.5. For the 2-bedrooms, which we initially had at 198 for the sales price and the floor of 168.3, the amendment would propose moving that to a sales price of 188,000 and a floor of 159,800, again keeping with that 15% range. The other proposed amendment to it has to do with it's in the post lottery process section of the schedule, and that deals with earnest money. And the earnest money, it said the primary applicant has 7 business days to complete the following ... submit earnest money deposit, and the minimums were 4,000 for a 2-bedroom, 5,000 for a 3-bedroom. The amendment would change the earnest money deposit to be $1,000 for 2 bedrooms and $1,000 for 3 bedrooms as well. So $1,000 deposit across the board for the 2 and 3 bedrooms. And I think that, as far as I can recall, that does cover the proposed amendment. For purposes of bringing it up for discussion, I'll make that motion and ask that there be a second, and we can get into more rationale behind it. So motion made and seconded. On the question, we did have some discussions between the county and Belmont, as well as with Benlick. One of the reasons behind the reduction in sales price was involved increasing the pool of applicants. And Sandy, you're on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you please talk with us a little bit about the experience Belmont has had with the applicant pool?
Sure. So, obviously we're not privy to, what you have into these houses, what you need to get out of it. We're strictly coming from the point of reference of trying to make these as affordable as possible for families and to widen the pool of applicants as much as we can. although lowering it, the sale price, yes, it does lower the amount of income the family needs to have, obviously, but it also opens up a couple different things. If we're able to help more people who maybe fall under 80% of the median, not just the 300% of poverty, that opens them up to additional grant opportunities for the down payment and closing costs that like the city has. And we also we're looking at probably needing to use that maybe on the 2-bedroom homes. We only have a couple spots right now of the slots that we have in our home program. But I did ask, I want to put a couple aside for those houses just in case we can't find somebody who meets in the window of, affording it and in the income range. It also, I mean, obviously it's more enticing to buyers. We do have a tremendous amount of hits on Zillow, but we're not getting a ton of applications. We do have about 120 in Cheektowaga, about 50 in Black Rock, but we are finding that most of the people aren't sending things back and they didn't necessarily come to the open house. So that's telling me the fact that they didn't come to the open house. We do have a handful that has submitted everything, but we might only have maybe 3 buyers at this point that meet both, are under the income and can qualify for the house. So I'm hoping that maybe that would get more interest. I think people maybe self-selected themselves out after they filled out the application and then looked at what they were going to have to provide us. And maybe they couldn't qualify for a mortgage. We're still going to call every single person to get a gauge on why they didn't send back the documents. So we'll be able to report that to Benlick and the county when we have probably a little bit more data next week. But it also opens up for FHA mortgages. Right now, the 3 bedrooms are over the limits of what somebody who wants to get an FHA mortgage. It's over the HUD guidelines. So it's just we're trying to figure out how to kind of, get as many people that fit in that window as possible. And most of the lenders, and if you spoke to any CRA lender, most people, most first-time homebuyer mortgages only require 1% of their own money in the transaction. The rest can come from grants. Sunny Mae, that's the most popular loan through the state. That has closing cost assistance as well. So, there's a lot of opportunities for them to layer some resources if their income is a little lower and if the sale price is a little lower. That's all. That's only our angle, is just trying to kind of widen the window as much as possible, given what you need to make on these properties and get out of them.
Thank you, Sandy. Dan, did you have a question?
No, I was just saying that, to me, it's about expanding the pool of eligible applicants. I mean, gotten a bunch of applicants, but I think once we start getting into it, the point of this program was to, provide for those first-time home buyers that, were working employed, but just didn't have enough to get into home buying. And, it was not really to make money and turn it into the next round. It was to get people into home ownership. And so, we're hearing from Belmont, who were the experts in this, that, if we, reduce that price down, it makes it more affordable. It opens up other assistance, down payment assistance. It opens up FHA mortgage. It just seems like that might be a logical way. The last thing we want is to, announce, 50 homes and then only have a handful of people who qualify. So I guess verifying it, the first resolution allowed the executive director to reduce 15% on a case by case basis. I think at the county, as we talked about it and heard from Belmont, that, maybe if we make these tweaks, we will improve the numbers of qualified people and generate more interest.
Thank you, Dan. Thomas, did you have something? I saw you, your eyes looked at me for something. No, okay. Are there any other questions of the board or any other?
Yeah, so
comments?
how many total homes are on this resolution?
That was the,
So we have 53.
53, and what's the split on them again?
So we have 14, 2 bedrooms. So it's about $140,000
Yeah.
difference. And then there are 30, is that 38? But it's 53 total, 53 minus 14.
39.
So I'm sorry, I have 39. So I had it 136,000, but am I a little bit off there? 39 times 22,000 is $858,000. So 858 plus 140
Million.
is, it's $1 million and then a 15% floor on that. So, again,
Could add another
right, so about 1,120,000 approximately difference.
It sounded to me, am I mistaken? It sounded like there were enough qualified applications, however, that Belmont has received.
No, we got a bunch of applications, but the majority have not returned any documents. And out of the ones that we did, so let's say we're about 160 applications we received, but let me see how many we got back. We already determined we only got, I think, about 20 full applications back, and half of them we determined that they're not eligible. So we really are down to only about 3 people that we have identified so far that are both under the income limit and have a mortgage pre-qualification for the minimum amount.
Just Sandy, what's the application period? Or is it the 30th of November or
To
in
the
December?
9th. Yeah, we did have it just to the 19th because we were trying to do the lottery on the 29th of December. And that's been out there. So, obviously we're going to try to get as much marketing done in that first week. And we're having another open house on the 6th. So that would still give everybody 2 weeks to get all their stuff in and get a mortgage approval, which isn't unreasonable. If they want it bad enough and they want to be in the lottery, and we're showing it in between, obviously, too. So we could have a lottery, but we could potentially be having a lottery where we don't have enough people who qualify for every single house. So if that happens, I guess we would, because we can't let these people down who did everything right and got everything in right away, I would still hold the lottery. And let's say we only have, and I don't think this, but let's say we only have 4 qualified candidates who want the Buffalo houses, and we have, how many total of them? So if we only have 4, I would hold the lottery with the 4, get those 4 sold, keep marketing, and we'll hold another lottery for the remaining 4. I just feel like we have to kind of keep our word to the people who were jumped on it right away. And second of all, I think that you don't want to keep carrying these houses. You don't want them to get broken into. Let's get as many sold as we can, and then just keep marketing, the remaining ones. And, we can either decide, do we sell it first come, first serve? Or do you want to try another round of marketing, get enough for another lottery? But I guess we can cross that bridge when we come to it, where we see where we are come the 19th.
One of the other concerns that I have is that if we do this, the first round at 250 and 198, And, maybe we get 4, 5, 6 that are qualified. And we go ahead and do that. Then we decide, okay, well, that didn't work too well. The next rounds we'll start and lower them. Well, then we have these first people that jumped on it right away
Yeah.
that are now paying 20 grand more. And we have to explain to them why, well, thank you very much.
And just for
Oh.
clarity, there's only 12 for sale.
That's what I was
Right,
gonna say.
right.
Right now, there's 12.
Yeah.
5 in
So 5
Cheektowaga,
in
7
Cheektowaga and 8 in
And
Black Rock.
Sandy, given that we are trying to sell this first 12, just from your experience, how many qualified applicants do we need who will actually go from the lottery process to actually closing? Because I imagine you lose people even in that process, even if
Yeah.
they are qualified. And do you have like we need 3 people per home or 10 people per home to sell these
No.
12?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of initially shooting for, usually 4 fully processed people to find the one, but you probably need 10 interested people to get the 4 to then
I
get
see.
the one.
Right. So you hit the 10 though, right? We got 120 roughly. So
Yeah,
for
we just,
Cheektowaga, 50
or
for
10
Black
for,
Rock.
I mean, you
I'm
probably,
sorry,
yeah,
yeah.
you need 10 per,
Oh.
so you probably are looking at, like, we need thousands of people who want to buy this house to whittle down to the 11, but like I said, people are just taking themselves out of the game, themselves, but we just want to confirm why they, took themselves out of the game. So then we can pivot if they're bringing up something, or if they know they have terrible credit, then we can just move on and get, people on the wait list that do have the ability to, buy the house. So
And based on the applicant pool, if we reduce the purchase price, do you have any guesstimation as to how many of those people? I think you said we roughly got 4, I think you said, of the 120. Did I? catch that right?
Yeah, we'd have to run the numbers. We'd have to go through each person and run the numbers based on what they listed. I mean, it's probably, but what we don't know is if this kept people from sending in their stuff. Like what we don't know and what we were finding out, we're actually calling this week, everybody. Why didn't you send your stuff in? Was it you thought it was too much? You didn't want to get into a $2,000 mortgage payment? You knew you had bad credit? You knew you were over income? What were the reasons? So I feel like we'll be able to answer these questions probably a little bit better next week. But I think more importantly of lowering the prices, besides maybe it just helping, a few people, it's what else it's opened it up for, as far as more down payment assistance, that sort of thing. That might be why they are not sending back the application, because they found out, or the backup documents, because the bank told them they were going to need $20,000. So we have to do a lot of groundwork to really drill down to why we had so many interested people and so few sent their information in, and so few are looking like they qualify. I mean, of course, out of that 160, we actually have people on there that have no income and things like that. So you're always going to get applicants that, or their income equals the mortgage payment. So we're just eliminating kind of all those right off the bat, and trying to whittle down to figure out exactly how many are left. Does that make sense?
It does, although you don't have a sense of the people who sent in their papers right now. You can't tell us.
I can't tell you right
Yeah.
off the bat, off
That's
the
fine.
top of my head, but that is information I can get to you. I just have to look at what we listed everybody's income at. We have it all on a spreadsheet, so we can kind of do some calculations to basically see if just that, extra $75 savings will get somebody into qualifying for the mortgage. But it just takes a little work, but I can get you that.
Thank you, Sandy. Any other questions of the board of Sandy, or any questions in general about the amendment? We do have a motion made and seconded on it.
I think that, there's certainly, when your point about would you go back to somebody if the prices drop, the folks that perhaps are awarded in this first round are also getting the first pick of the houses that are available. There's value in that. We don't know that the prices need to go down. I think that the resolution as it stands has the authority in the executive director to lower the prices as necessary. I don't know that I find that resolution is necessary.
We did have some discussion about the executive director's ability to lower it based on her own discretion, and there was internal discretion, internal discussion that felt that something explicit needed to be set forward, given that those had to be mentioned on a case-by-case basis. John, do you have any further comments on that, the executive director's discretion?
Well, I agree with what you just said. At the last meeting, it seemed clear to me that the board was authorizing the executive director to exercise discretion on a case-by-case basis when necessary. It wasn't intended to be a blanket across the board reduction. But let me add, just for the sake of, there's no one better than you all as the board to say what you intended when you gave the executive director that discretion last month. So if you feel otherwise, if you feel she has the discretion to do it without the resolution, certainly feel free to say that. That does, of course, eliminate further reductions going forward, though, right? She'd be locked in if you're already taking advantage of her discretion now. So that's all I can add.
Could I ask a question real quick? This is Sandy. When you're saying her discretion on a case-by-case basis, are you saying she has the ability to lower the prices to what is proposed on her own without the board approval? Or are you saying that we take each person case by case to see what they qualify for? If they qualify for the 252, we'd sell it to them for 252. And if they only qualified for it at 230, that's what we'd sell it for. The issue with that, first of all, it makes it difficult to market. The second issue is every mortgage product has different ratios. And we've had this issue before where you end up penalizing people who are really good at not getting themselves into debt and are getting a conventional mortgage that has low ratios to somebody who's getting something where the bank is willing to go up to 45% of their monthly income on a house payment because they don't maybe have debt or something like that, where another person's maybe limited to 30% on their mortgage. So it ends up not being apples to apples, if we're basing it on what the person qualifies for, because it could be a totally different product.
Sure. So I'll certainly defer to the board again as to what they intended. I thought the discretion they vested Jocelyn with was to address those types of situations on a case-by-case individual basis when necessary. And the board was even further concerned with that discretion because if I recall correctly, they wanted notification first. I think, Dan, you added that to the resolution, some notification with an opportunity with some time to step in if needed. So that's my take, but again, it's you guys are in charge. So whatever you intended is.
You're absolutely right. And I guess our thought was, let's just simplify it. If we're having struggles now finding qualified, do we want to sit here and have Jocelyn come back and make a lot of extra work on a case-by-case basis where it's her decision, then have to come back to this board for, 43 of the 52 houses or something like that. It just seemed like if we provide a little bit more certainty in terms of the direction of the board, we can eliminate some of this back and forth and judgment calls on a case-by-case basis. That's all.
I mean, from my own perspective, I would say that if we were hearing that we had enough applicants to deal with the first 12 homes, then I'd probably be more comfortable
Yeah,
going
me too.
forward at the 252, but we don't even have enough applicants to satisfy this first tranche, right? We had all talked about, all right, let's see what happens with the first tranche and then adjust. Well, what's happening is that we're not finding enough qualified buyers. And so, and I would hate to have 2 or 3 people purchase a 252 and then go into the same neighborhood at the same time. Say now it's
On the street.
now it's 230, and that
absolutely.
doesn't feel
And you know,
fair to me.
the requirement to have Jocelyn check back with the board, I liked, and that's why I said it, but then realized we only meet once a month. So she's only gonna be able to take that action once a month, and that could slow things down on individual applications.
Well, I think email would be suffice, and then if we wanted to call an emergency meeting to block it, you know what I mean? I think she could notify us via email, and then if somebody had an issue with it, they would raise the concern to bring an emergency meeting to block that sale. If somebody has an issue with it, then we don't have to have a meeting to talk about it, we can just let her do it, right?
I didn't
I think
believe that.
that was on my understanding of the notification would be some kind of informal written notification. And then if the board did want to block the sale or change the terms of
Didn't like
it, somebody could call an emergency meeting to get that handled in a timely fashion.
That was my understanding, that it didn't require waiting for the next monthly meeting.
I could say, and having had these discussions and talking about the county as the member, there was a very strong feeling that we needed to have a change in the resolution to set forth the specific dollar figures for each property based on providing that additional certainty. And as well as the dollar figures coming up based upon what we were actually hearing, the county, were hearing back from Belmont with the actual applications. We're hearing the word on the street what to do. Hence why it was a very strong feeling of the member that we bring forward this amendment and that we vote on it today, given the timetable that we've been under and trying to move as fast as we can to get these homes sold and to get people in the homes.
And just one thing too, when I said, they're gonna save $75, it's not $75, it's closer to like 150. I was just saying 75 off the cuff. But lowering it on the 3-bedroom 20 by 22,000 would be between 130 and 150, depending on their interest rate, in there somewhere. So it's
It would lower the
substantial.
payment. You're saying
Yeah.
it would lower the payment, 135 to 150.
And therefore, it allows them to have a little bit more debt. It's those things too. It's not just that it lowers the income, by 5,000, let's say, as far as what you need to get into it, but it helps the ratios, in other ways. It allows them to have some credit cards or to have a car payment. Those kinds of things play into it as well if the mortgage is cheaper.
I can appreciate what Sandy's sharing with us, but that's not anything that's a new revelation, and
Yeah.
this information was available at the time when we were deciding on the prices of the houses at the last board meetings, and there was no attempt to have, the other options on financing and things be discussed. I think that because we thought that we had used a good model and had a good financing structure and thought that we had made an appropriate recommendation on what the prices should be.
Yeah, and to some Karen's point, I hear maybe somebody is gonna pay 252 and then in the next round it'd be 230, but 252 is still a steal for these houses. I mean, I get that, looking at your neighbor, you always want your neighbor.
So we got a 2-bedroom one in historic Hamlin Park, the only one for 290.
Right, okay.
So we're
And-
talking 250 in non-historic neighborhoods. And so I don't know, I would have agreed until the highest bid we got on a 2-family in a historic district. The nicest house on the block is 290.
But it's not, the market is, I don't know how else to view what information we're getting from Belmont, other than the market is not what we thought it was even a month ago. We've had open houses and an applicant.
It's more about
The only other,
Yeah.
Market than.
Yeah, if we
on the
didn't
open
have to
market.
get people under 300% of
sale.
poverty, if we were just selling it, and people didn't have to
right.
fall under the 300% of poverty, yes, you'd have more people because we're
Right, no, I'm
eliminating.
saying we are finding out the market
Yeah.
for this program.
Yeah,
Right? That's what
Oh,
we
I
have
see what
found
you're
out
saying.
in the
Yeah.
past month. Not the market generally, just for these homes and the applicant pool and who we can sell them to and the restrictions. And it appears that what we're finding is that the market is not maybe as strong as we had hoped.
Oh, but there could be other justifications for it. It could be the amount of
Mhm.
marketing that's taking place. It could be
Yeah.
that there's an influx of people still doing their homework and are gonna submit applications in the next 2 weeks. There's all kinds of other factors, I
We
think.
don't know if
Yeah.
it's the sales price or it's just the down payment, or if there's a number of factors, we don't have that information.
You know, I do think if we are gonna lower that from the 250 to 230, I think maybe we should go to a 10% discretionary. Cause I mean, if you're at that 50% line, I just did a couple of little numbers here, but from 250 to 195 at 57,000 roughly a house times 39 homes, you're looking at 2.2 million. So if we can maybe close that floor up, being that we're dropping the 230 already down, there shouldn't be as much low end discretionary need, so that we could at least keep some of that minimum number afloat. Would be some of the,
I'm sorry, Ann.
go ahead.
Here's the number on that one, just what the 10% would be.
So if we like what the, so 39 times 57,000, which would be the difference in the two, was the 2.2 million. What 10% would be of 230? I mean, I can pull it out.
Okay, I know, I just didn't know if it, yeah.
I didn't run that.
No worries, no worries.
What if, here's an idea, if we're trying to provide certainty and remove a lot of the judgment, the case by case judgment. What if we lowered it to the 230, but didn't have a ceiling from there? We just left it at 230, and then we see what happens in the pool of applicants.
We didn't have a floor.
No vote, just that is the floor.
Remove the discretion.
Yeah, remove the
Go to
discretion down to 230, leave it at that, and then see what that does to the applicant pool. When we come back in a month, we can adjust it again. I don't know.
There's, you know, just when you start looking at, you know, we're looking at $57,000 different potentially from our original times
Yeah.
40 homes. I mean, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
You know, 20 on a house times, you know, it's about half that, but
Maybe the trade-off is that we don't allow more ceiling at this, or floor at this.
No discretion.
No discretion to 232.
See
and
where
then
we are in a month.
See what happens with the applicant pool when she starts getting through the rest of these ones.
When's your next open house?
December 6th. And you know what we'll do, obviously, you don't want to wait maybe to your next board meeting, but we are keeping spreadsheets with all this information. Well, it generates automatically from their application, so, and we can provide you, all the data, you know, and what they listed self-reported, when we did verify it, what was it? You know, we can give you a synopsis of picture of time, probably like even by the week before where we're at, before everything is due. So you get, you know, this is something that we're doing ongoing, and we can give you what we have at any point in time. But, you know, we're adding to the information every day as we're following up.
Sandy, do you see any issue if we eliminated the floor? It's just one price across the board. And then,
It would certainly, I think, make it easier on, you know, us to market it, and then to, you know, just to publicize it, so there's no confusion. You know, I think people, I mean, that's the other thing with lowering the price. It's also just in somebody's mind, you know, a little bit more in their price range. I think it's going to open it up to more interest, just because people are gonna see that it's a little cheaper price range. It's a great, I mean, not that it's not a great deal now, but it certainly would be at 230, you know.
if we lower the price by board resolution, what do you do from a marketing standpoint? What
Well,
happens?
The first thing, as soon as you give me the numbers today, we're gonna update the MLS listings, which go to Zillow and all the other online venues. That's where most people, from what we're the feedback that we're getting from the applications, most of it is online and social media. So we would like to do another round of social media, because it looks like that's been fairly successful. So we had a discussion yesterday with Ben Lick and Monica from the county of how do we get the social media presence out there. We didn't get the hit from the press conference that we were hoping, the bump, that you'd normally get from the calls. We weren't getting a lot from that. We did obviously from the Buffalo Rising article. That was another way people are hearing about it. We're going to do a realtor day. So you have to also figure that, the offer of us paying 2% of the sell price to somebody who has a buyer broker that you had decided before. So we're going to do like a all-day event for realtors. Hopefully they'll bring their buyers in. We had a couple go through this week that looked somewhat promising. So we have to see. I mean, I can say that, the people that are eligible, they're still looking at what else is on the market. They are comparing this to what else they could buy for a similar amount in the area. What can they get for $250 in that neighborhood of Black Rock, which these houses, if you go on Zillow, they are towards the top of what that neighborhood is selling for. They're still obviously a gorgeous new build, but they don't have garages and they don't have driveways and basements. So there is a form of competition here, even though you think that who could not pass this up, they're still looking at what else they could get for their money. That makes sense.
Do we have any other questions or comments? I'd be willing to adjust my motion to amend and just strike the salesperson for it. That would help ease.
I have just one question before we do, sorry. The sale price, wasn't that based on their income, the floor and the price? No?
The sales price, well, I would ask Alexis, we did an affordability calculator for 250% of the federal poverty level, correct? So according to the money source.
Yeah.
The homes need to be sold at no more than 300% of the federal poverty level. So these calculations were done at 250. So that we could meet under, and correct? Did I miss anything? Yeah.
So the sales price is supposed to be affordable at exactly what would also be considered 80% AMI. I think about 80,000 for a household of four.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and then the reduction on the first 4,000 and 5,000, I thought, last meeting we discussed that and we wanted to have more skin in the game to get the buyer that had the skin in the game. And that was one of the reasons we went a little higher on those. So, I mean, I got a little bit of concern with dropping those two pieces too, just because, we had the conversation of, a lot of people probably could pull $1,000 together in a month and then they're going to be in the house. And, what is that going to look like a year from that? Versus, scramble to get $5,000 together, you got to have a little bit more financial preparedness. And, I hear that we want to get these houses out and move, but we also don't want to get them out and move and then be stuck with them in a year. Whether the city of Buffalo or the county owns them then at that point, you know what I mean? Even 5 years, 10 years, we want these things to be 20-year homeowners. So I think, I thought that was part of the reason of keeping that number higher was to maybe exclude some of those people that can't get to that. And it's unfortunate that they can't get there. But, at the end of the day, we want to make sure these homes aren't just going to end up knocked down in 30 years again.
Yeah, anything Sandy or Thomas or Monica want to say anything about the?
I understand where you're coming from with that, but it has never been our experience that people back out of the deal because, they don't put enough money down. And most people who are under 300% of poverty don't have $5,000. I don't think if I pooled all our 120 of our staff, I'd say probably 20 might have 5,000 in their checking and savings account. So I think it's high. It's a requirement that's higher than what any first time home buyer program would require, or any any kind of other down payment and closing cost assistance would require. They're still gonna have to come up with money. If they put $1,000 down, let's say, they're still gonna have to go out and buy their homeowners. They gotta pay their appraisal, an application fee. They're still paying money along the way before closing. So they're still gonna have not just that 1%, they're gonna have, uh, towards 2 to 3%, which is really normal if they're able to qualify for other grants. Yes, it wouldn't be normal of a person buying their second house. Obviously they'd have equity, they'd probably have more savings. But for first-time home buyers, to get 3% of your own money together, that's still a heavy lift for them. And I think, why try to set a bar higher than what a conventional Sunny Mae state-approved mortgage product would allow? They're more concerned, are the ratios in line? Are the employment, do they have a history of employment? Do they have, some of them will require that they have 3 more months of the mortgage payment in the bank. So they're looking at all those things. So, why should we add, more layers onto what they're already doing for underwriting purposes?
So I understand the concerns, because we just did talk about this last
Yeah,
month,
right,
we're
right.
just thinking, but as we've been listening, and Thomas and others been talking to Sandy, this is the feedback we've been hearing is the same thing. So that's why we wanted to bring it back to the board, so that you hear what we've been hearing for the last, few weeks, 3-4 weeks on, what the likelihood is of finding a pool. So that's really was our thought for bringing it back for a discussion.
Sandy, my question is, sorry to interrupt, is when in the process do I have to give you $5,000?
You wouldn't be giving it to me, but you'd have to add contract signing. I think that's what was that what I heard at the board meeting, that you were envisioning that they put the $5,000 down on the contract?
It was an earnest money deposit.
Yeah.
So,
Earnest money, so it's, so after the lottery, I'm selected, and I've already gone through Belmont's screening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you've determined that I am eligible. And then I'm sitting down and I'm signing the purchase sales agreement. And that's when I have to give somebody $5,000.
Yeah, and the thought was that goes towards speed to closing, right? So you win the lottery, we want your earnest money deposit, and if we don't get it, then we need to move on to the number 2
Right.
lottery person. So you can get to closing.
Did you-
And
Did you say that
even if
most
they
of the,
put that much, sorry, go ahead.
most of the affordable type loans, they require a 2 to 3% down, is what you said?
Yes.
Then,
Yeah,
I mean,
or
we're
1%
below
of
half
their
a
own
percent.
money, and then 3%. Most have a
But this isn't the
3%
down
down
payment.
payment, 1% having to come from their
Okay,
own
gotcha.
funds.
Right, this is the.
The earnest piece
This is
of the down
this is
payment?
Not the
Got
down, so they're gonna have the down payment.
In
potentially
addition, or
paid.
this is
Or does,
included?
would this, does the 5,000 count towards the down payment?
Yes.
Yes, they
Yes.
would, yeah, but what happens is, if they put $5,000 down, and I'm gonna say for our grant, we can't give them any money back. We can only pay them for what they require in between the 5,000 and the closing costs and the rest of the down payment. So they'd have to pay that 5,000, then they'd have to pay for their homeowner's insurance, the appraisal, the application. So they're really looking at 7,000. Now, if they put down 1,000 and they're spending another $2,000 before closing that they have to pay out of pocket, that equals the money that they need in the transaction as far as the bank is concerned. And the bank and the grant and the loan can cover everything else. So you know, it basically means, yes, they're taking out a lower loan, but they're also kind of eliminating themselves from some grant money they could have got either through us or the bank or the city. Does that make sense?
Not much, but that's fine. That's my own fault. Is it, I mean, so why is it $1,000? I mean, could we make it $2,000 or, I mean, to satisfy,
Mhm.
I mean,
Like where
where do we come up with $1,000? Just sounds like a round number and sounds reasonable. In the same place we came 5,000, right? We just came up with a number.
Right.
Right.
I don't
No?
think 2000's
Well,
not,
that was just a
2000's
best
not
practice.
bad.
We
Yeah.
questioned at the time, we were thinking about working with realtors at the time, and we asked for best practices. So in a typical real estate transaction, what is a typical best practice down payment? That means you have some skin in the game and you're gonna move toward closing.
Right, right.
So that was where that
Right.
came from.
Right away from that.
And I think I mentioned that I used to many years ago sell real estate. That's why I still have my license. And I can tell you that the brokers tell us to do that because they're trying to cover our 6% commission because we're holding the deposit and then we don't have to wait for the attorney to pay us after closing or we immediately have the funds in our bank account to pay the realtor and the broker.
Oh, okay.
There.
It's always the call about the one. Thomas one.
No, I was just gonna say to, just after the conversation about, you know, trying to edge against default, what you're talking about. So in our inception of this program, part of the reason why we're adamant about pre-mortgage counseling and post-mortgage counseling was to address the fact of situating families who are either first-time home buyers or fit in that category of this major purchase in their lives to help with that. So that's number one. And then number two, I think the overall premise of the program is affordability. And so it's not just affordability for the cost of the home, but the process should be affordable. So to enter into the program, you should have some level of cognizance that, yes, we don't want you to burden you with $4,000, $5,000. We want the entry to be accessible and also for it not to be a deterrent. So if I know that I have to have $5,000 at the point in time where I sign the contract, I think that is a bit high of a hurdle, with the understanding that we're targeting a certain demographic of families who, you know, haven't had a large purchase, who haven't gone through the process of buying and selling the home. And so it's to ease them into this process without, you know, overtaxing them, just to say that once you get to closing, you need another X amount of dollars. So it's just progressive in nature to get them to application, a reasonable amount, and then to closing, which is, you know, not as burdensome if you don't have to come over $5,000. So that's some of the thought behind the program.
Does the 230 purchase price open them up to FHA and HUD lending?
Yes, yep,
And your down payment assistance, right?
yes, yeah. And we did apply for more. Like I said, we only got a couple slots left from the round that we have. We did apply for more that we'll hear in the spring if we received it. So the next round of houses, we might have some more slots, which would help. The city has their 15,000, but it can only go towards closing costs. But that's still great. I mean, because their closing costs will be covered. If they have 1 to 3% of their own money, the bank's going to cover with their internal program the rest of the costs. So people in the city of Buffalo are going to be set if they're, you know, on the costs, as long as they have, you know, a little bit of money. And I agree, 2,000. I think that's fine as well. It doesn't have to be 1,000, but when we get up to 5, that's a lot of money. There was something I was going to add too, but now it slipped my mind.
So when the person wins the lottery, they're gonna know the price of their home right then and there? Or is there another process that goes on after that?
230 then, right?
Yeah.
They would know it right then.
Right then and there. So could we attach like a percentage fee to it so that then your 2 bedroom and your 1 bedroom, so go 1%, you know, if your 2% is normal down payment, 2 to 3%, let's say, you know, we want to be in that little bit affordability side, let's go to a 1%.
For the earnest, for the deposit.
Yeah, go 1% on the earnest deposit of whatever the sale price is, and then you would have that flexibility on the 2 bedroom, it'd be 2,300, but you'd then have the flexibility on the 2 bedroom versus 3 bedroom.
Yeah.
And it would still be a consistent in the same sense that it's 1% either way.
At least that's tied to a percent. It's not just an.
You know, and it seems like that's
Yeah.
how everything in real estate works anyways. It's all percent based,
Yeah,
you
I
know, and it
think
goes
that-
to like
That works,
feet.
Sandy?
Yeah,
Um,
I
so
think that
something along
that's
those
reasonable,
lines.
you know,
So the earnest deposit, earnest money deposit is
Yeah.
1% of whatever the purchase sale.
I think that's
Whatever.
good because that's what is gonna be required for the loan. So if that was your concern too, to show that they had the money that they need to have to get the loan. If you ask that for the earnest money deposit, you know, that kind of covers that issue.
So if I'm understanding correct. We've got we're gonna do a motion to reduce the sale price.
Well, right now we have a motion.
Oh, there is a,
We made, a motion made, and I think Dan seconded it, but that the motion to amend the already adopted resolution,
yeah,
which would change the sales price from 252 and 198 to 230 and 188. We talked about reducing the sales price floor as part of the amendment. And we also talked about $1,000 for the earnest money deposit. What I would propose out there based upon the conversations that we have had then would be to have the sales prices still go down to 230 and 188, 3 bedroom, 2 bedroom. To strike the sales price floor entirely. And then change the earnest money deposit to be 1% of the purchase. So that'd either be the $2,300 or $1,880. Stuff.
What is the impact of if the resolution is passed on the process as it exists right now? The lottery, does it start over? Do you, like, what does it? You've done marketing at certain prices, now we're changing the prices. Do we start over?
I would just reach out to everybody who's already applied and let them know that the prices were reduced. Good news. And then we would update all the marketing material with the new price. It comes out, you know, when you edit the listing, it'll come out like it's like a brand new listing. So people will get the hits that it's been adjusted. A number of people have saved it as well on Zillow, so they get updated that the house that you saved has now been reduced. So I hopefully will get some traction from that. You know, and then we're hoping to do some more social media, and it'll be great to have the new prices on the. But
So,
I don't
Cindy,
think we
yeah.
need to necessarily start over. You know, we're just
So, but you would
Continue.
rerun the calculations or the eligibility determination for all the people that have already submitted.
yes.
So
Yeah.
you would know
absolutely.
if we
Yeah.
went from 4 or 5 eligible to now we have 12 or 13, that would be, you'd know that in a few days whenever you put in the new sale price and rerun their eligibility.
Yeah, we can tell you from the people who we have full applications for, and then the people who we just have their self-reported information from their application. And I'll have them compile the spreadsheet, you know, if it's affecting anybody. You know, if it's just putting them over the goal post, or if some people are on the fence because of the price and we call them and say, hey, it's $22,000 cheaper, that might move some people to send in their information as well, we're hoping.
Yeah.
Like we have actually 3 people at work who are interested in buy the houses as well. So I'll talk to them and see, I'll get immediate feedback.
And then for one more question, if the resolution did not move forward and we proceeded with the process as it's already in place, and down the road, there's opportunity to reduce sales price rather than right now. That with this resolution could be considered in 2 months or whatever the next opportunity is when houses are ready to go and we're ready to have more houses available.
Yeah, and Thomas and I talked about that, but the idea then with, you're gonna sell some at 250 and then the same house for 230, and then they're gonna be like, wow, wait a minute, how do they benefit? And I guess our thought was let's just start right from the beginning. I know last month
Sure.
we talked about it was, well, let's see how it goes. But, for me, considering this feedback we've been getting, I would just soon start from the scratch, from the
So
start.
a PR concern before too. So if we're gonna sell at a price, we should sell uniformly at that price.
The feedback early on was fairly strong that we're gonna make the change, let's make the change now and move forward with it. So I'd be willing to adjust my motion to be at the 230, 188, 1% of purchase.
232.
From the,
230?
it was 230, 250, from 252 to 230 for the 3-bedroom. From 198 to 188 for the 2-bedroom. Strike the sales price floor entirely and have the earnest deposit 1% of the purchase price. Dan, if you would be
I would-
willing,
Make that motion.
okay, so you would change your
I
second.
would change my second to that, to support that.
Okay, so we do have, go ahead. Ed.
You guys have had conversation with the city about this, I assume too, because I mean, there's not any represented from them, and
Yeah.
I'm from the city of Tonawanda, and none of this ARPA money comes from the city of Tonawanda, so I've had a voice about what goes on with it, but I just want to make sure that the conversation is had with them as well, being that none of them are here.
There's been discussions, they
unfortunately,
knew
today.
this resolution was on the agenda today.
Yeah, and but their feeling was to be on board with it, from the conversation.
I don't
you
think,
guys
quite
have had.
frankly, that is their feeling, and that might be why they're not here. I don't know why they're not.
I mean, I know we gotta get this done for a deadline, but I don't think I would vote either way on it then. Without knowing their considerations, like I said, we're talking millions of dollars that isn't part of the city of Tonawanda's funding. I'm part of the Ben Lick board and we have the authority to do it, but
Sandy,
a big chunk of it,
with that
I
in mind,
I'm
is
not
there,
comfortable voting
Yeah.
for the city.
and I'm sorry, it's just getting late. Could we carve out the Cheektowaga homes and then deal with the city homes next month? Is there any reason why?
Well,
Why-
there's more, and I think, I think the city houses are probably
Right, they're the
more,
bigger problem.
yeah, actually. I mean, as far as interest in applications that we've received so far. I mean, obviously it's your decision, but, there's probably a better chance that we could sell Cheektowaga at the current price than there is, Black Rock, as far as what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know if they're looking to get some of this money back, so I'm not privy to any of that. So, if they want that price, not just because the house is worth it and what they have in it and what they want to get back out of it, I don't know. So I don't know what their motivation of not wanting to drop the price would be.
So let me ask another question. Let's say we do nothing right now. What would be your plan for the lottery in Cheektowaga?
I would hold it with however many people that we have that are both under income and if it's not the full 5 and we only have 3, I would hold it with the 3 people and have them pick, and then we remarket the next ones. The only thing I would say is that if we get to the 19th and we have, half of the people that we need to buy, and you decide to drop the prices, then you should drop the prices, before the person closes of who's buying now, if you want to address, the issue that was brought up of fairness.
How many
Um,
applicants do we have in Cheektowaga right now? That you think are,
Let's see. Should I have? 20. But you know what, I don't have in front of me, we have 20 applicants, but I don't have how many have sent all their, we have, that's where we have like 2 of the people that look like they're eligible to buy are in Cheektowaga. But I'd have to double check on how many we've done in the last 2 days, with the staff to see who else might have been, processed.
can
But-
you find that out right now?
Sure. Let me see here. Let me try to.
And what I'm trying to, I guess, get at is if we have 5 qualified or more than 5 in Cheektowaga. We move forward as is with Cheektowaga. We don't have to worry about the disparate, because we'll be done in Cheektowaga. We will have unloaded the 5. If the city, wants to do, good for you and sticking up for the city. I don't know why they're not here, but
We have to keep the application period open until December 19th, correct? Is that right? I just want to make, right? So we have another whole month also, right?
Right.
That we need to stay open to collect.
Right, but
applications, right?
just
I
increase
just
the
want to make,
marketing.
yeah.
right. But what I'm worried about is going forward with Cheektowaga at one price and then changing it. But if we have more than enough right now to go forward with the lottery, well, you're right. We have to keep it open. Yeah, I see what you mean. So, yeah.
I'm
I see.
comfortable with keeping it open right now for Cheektowaga and not moving forward with the resolution. Keep it as is. Buffalo can hold off until Buffalo weighs in. I think markets change by springtime. This is November's not a
It's not a great time.
busy time, and I think that
It's not fair to the city to vote without them sitting here, I suppose.
Just advice.
Wait, 2 bedrooms are currently for sale in the city?
Track down.
14
There,
altogether.
But
there
are
are
they all
14 2-bedrooms.
14.
No, but in the, Cheektowaga has 2 2-bedrooms.
Yeah,
right?
Cheektowaga, but the,
3 3-bedrooms,
the
2
city
2-bedrooms, and then
that are ready.
12, none, they're all 3-bedrooms.
They're all
So right now
3-bedrooms.
it's 8 3-bedrooms in Black Rock that are for sale.
gotcha.
Fascinating conversation. It really has. This is very,
It's getting my mind
it's-
going. It's making my mind think.
It really has been a great thorough discussion on the topic. I commend everybody on that. It's been great.
and I guess my worry is we're waiting is let's say we reduce the price and still don't, like, when,
Yeah, I think,
what if this program
and I
is
think,
just too expensive?
is that something that maybe Belmont could put to us is that, they have this list of 100 potential people, maybe they don't have the full documents, but could you give us a listing? Okay, if we go 240, you're gonna have 10 applicants. You go 230, you're gonna have
Yeah.
25. You go 200, you're gonna have 100 applications.
Hey,
Like, can they give
sorry
us
to
that?
bother you, but I
that
need
layout
some
of metric
time
to-
with the
That's what I was
county.
asking for. It doesn't sound like they've done that value yet.
On Tuesday,
Sandy?
Karen basically said we only
Thank you.
That, I think that would be part of this, important to this price point conversation, as well, if that information's available. I don't know if it is.
But look, it sounds like we've got, if this resolution were to be voted on, I think we've got 2 people who clearly said they don't want to vote on. Ellen, we always try to work with consensus.
Yeah.
We don't have anybody from the city. So I think the end result of this is gonna be status quo and wait a month.
Can I add a point to that, just from a technical standpoint? It's a great point. Because this involves the sale of real property, it's not a typical land bank vote where a majority of the quorum can approve. It does have to be a majority of the entire board. And I don't know your numbers exactly. It looks like you got 6 people there.
We would need everyone to vote in favor that's present here.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
So I think since we do have a motion that is on the floor, it would be appropriate that if somebody would like to move to table it.
I
or
will
something
table the
else.
motion. I'll second the table.
Second the table. All right, well,
Doesn't matter
Mo-
what
motion-
Sandy says. now.
Motion made by Dan to table, seconded by Adam. Anything on the question? All in favor of the table?
Hi.
I,
Any opposed? Motion carried, and I think that concludes our business for the day.
Sandy, did you find out the answer?
Sandy, you're
Oh,
muted.
no.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, shit.
She muted?
No.
Or we muted her.
Somebody muted me, I
Yeah,
think.
There you go.
Am
You're
I
good now.
unmuted? Okay.
You are.
Still only two in Cheektowaga. Those are the only two that we have. But we have one more that we showed today who appears to meet the income requirements. There's a little concern that she might be over income, so we have to do a little bit more digging on her household and income. But so potentially 3 in Cheektowaga. Now,
Not even a
keep it-
full.
yeah, but keep in mind, if that third person, if she doesn't get the 3-bedroom, she might not want the 2 bedrooms. You know what I mean? So,
Yep,
as
yeah,
much
that's
as
why
you
you
might
need
even have-
more than. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, we tabled the resolution, so your life is not made any easier.
Okay.
Until next month.
Until next month, when we get some more direction from the city. And maybe you can beat the bushes. Beef
Well,
up the numbers.
well, yeah, see what,
That's where we are.
that's where we are.
Good
Okay,
stuff.
Thank you, Sandy.
no problem.
Anything else?
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
You.
That's good stuff.
Thank you for the dialogue, everybody.
Something the longest.
one of the longer sounds good.
This time you better sit that after this meeting.
Oh, that's true. Usually I'm